Hello, it's James from XRobots.co.uk. This is part 22 of my Hulkbuster suit build. First of all, I wanted to tell you not to forget to check out the other projects in my channel. This Friday, I have an update on my 3D printed R2-D2, which I've got most of the frame done for, so that's coming up on Friday. And I've also got another project going on, which is of course my 3D printed alien xenomorph suit. So I've got the head just here. This suit is entirely 3D printed, the rest of it's standing here on this mannequin, and last time I worked on the tail, so the next update on that is going to be next Tuesday. But let's have a look at Hulkbuster. In the previous episode of Hulkbuster, I stretched the suit out and made it wider, so I put another 6 inches on each side, and I put in these cardboard panels, which are temporary mock-up panels, so we can see roughly what the shape of a torso is going to look like. The reason for that was in the episode before that, I did a 3D printed helmet, which was rather large, actually the right size, but slightly too big for the suit. So now we've stretched this out, I've brought the chest plate forward and basically sorted out all the proportions. So the bits and pieces you still see here, which are wood, which are basically the arm frames, also the legs, I haven't really done any work on. Again, these cardboard panels are temporary. All of this boxy shape for the legs, let's just pan the camera down, is effectively just the frame that holds it up and allows me to walk in it and holds it stationary while there's no one in it. So all of that's going to get covered with more panels, and it's hopefully all going to look like the chest plate does now. So in this episode we're going to work on the arms, possibly the thighs, but basically I've got some issues with balance now. I've brought some things forward and it's very front heavy, so we need to sort out the arms. Now we've got these pistons, which are fake pistons that hold a bungee, and this bungee bridges the shoulder down to the forearm to counterbalance the arms. It does make the arms hang forward rather a lot, and I really want to be able to set those back slightly more so it doesn't overbalance the suit. At the moment the torso is clamped to the thighs with G-clamps because otherwise it tips over, which is going to make getting in and out very tricky. So we need to sort out sort of rebalancing the arms, and then hopefully what's going to happen today is we're going to get these off because they're too close to the forearm, and we're going to work on the actual panels for the bicep at least. So I need to be careful this doesn't tip over, but so probably going to take loads of bits off the arms, get these bungees off and sort out what I can do to set the balance of the arms back, which is probably going to involve more bungees and having a look at the elbow hinges we built before. So here's the sideways view. As you can see, the chest plate sticks out quite a lot now, and the shoulders are fairly far back on the assembly, but it's still really front heavy. So I've just taken this G-clamp off that was holding it, and I've still got 2 clamps which are holding the torso from tipping forward. So if I carefully take those off, it's got these metal clips, but if I take those off and let go of it, the whole thing wants to fall over forwards. And it will do, and as it goes the arms come further forward and it falls over forwards even more, which is a problem. So just make sure I get those back on properly. So that really makes it hard to get in and out of the suit. There'll be a latch to hold this for safety at the back, but ideally I need to let go of it before I step into it and pick the torso up on my shoulders. So to make matters worse, if we try and move the elbows, so what we've got are these motors, which are geared motors with a nylon pulley or a nylon cord that pulls around this thing here, and obviously it's counterweighted with the bungee. But if I can get these motors to if we straighten the arm, of course it pulls the bungee tighter, that pulls the arm forward even more, makes it worse. So this is slightly challenging. Let's just put that back. So the aim is, of course, that the joysticks in the upper arm are going to control the lower arms. That's going to happen on both sides. But we really need to make sure when we're standing in some sort of pose, we can have this whole suit balanced. At the moment, these shoulders look too far back as well, so I need to move them forwards, but have the arm hang further back. So, taking the camera in my hand, I can show you what the bungee is hooked onto. So, obviously it's hooked onto the forearm there, goes past the fake piston, and it's hooked up inside. So if we just come around the back, you can see the other end of the bungee is hooked onto this studding, and this studding comes all along the way here. So this is the piece of wood that I extended last time. The other end is on this 3D printed bracket that I extended last time. but the shoulder itself is mounted here, so it's got a nut either side and it's mounted on bearings, so we can slide the shoulder forward. And I think if we move this bungee closer, then it's going to have less impact on pulling the arm in one direction or the other as it bends. So we're going to mess around with that a bit and see what happens. Okay, so I'm just going to grab this bungee and move it back a bit. Okay, well that seems to, yeah, obviously have a massive impact on bringing the hang of the elbow back. And I'm guessing this is now closer, so let's just leave that there for a minute. And it's hanging at a bit of a funny angle, but we can test the principle and see if straightening this yeah, that definitely has less impact on it. I'm pretty sure that's hanging pretty much in the same position it was. Yeah, so it's hanging a bit further back now, but that's fine as long as it's not hanging forward. So I guess the first lesson is bringing that bungee so it's closer to the shoulder. Now we should be able to move the whole thing forward, so the bungee's at the front again and the shoulder mechanism is further forward, so we've got less of this massive exposed chest plate at the side. So I'm just going to undo the nuts here that, on this rail that allow me to slide the shoulder forward and backwards. So it's a piece of 8mm studding, so hopefully it's strong enough to support everything. So let's just try that. It works quite well. Doesn't feel like it's particularly under strain. Just need to slide this forward and forward and forward until it's in the right position. And I'm pretty sure the arms are further enough apart now that I don't have any issues getting my arm round the back plate here to grab the joysticks. We'll try that again in a minute. So I think that's about the right position. You can probably just see this piece of wood sticking out the back here, which is unfortunate, but it's going to be fine because it's going to have quite a big back on the suit as well. Obviously I've still got the mechanism to go back on here that opens and closes the back panels, which was several episodes ago, which I haven't stuck back on, so it's going to have quite a big curved, kind of hunched back almost, so I'm not too worried about that. So I've moved the shoulder quite a bit forward, so we just need to keep testing this motor to see if, let's see what happens, and then move the bungee accordingly as well. Okay, so I think my shoulder's just in the right position there. You can probably just about see this the wooden stick at the back poking out, which is fine because we've got loads of space to mount a kind of hunched shoulder there for the back panel. And I've still got my back panel opening and closing mechanism to go back on, which I've taken off when I widened this and haven't put back on yet. So now we've got the shoulder quite a lot further forward on that bit of studding, so it's closer to the bungee, so that should have less influence when we move the arm. And there's still obviously options to fine tune this as we go. Let's just see what happens. So that's still pulling forward quite a bit. Let's just adjust that bungee and move it back a bit. Yeah, and we can, even a tiny bit of motion will impact where that is. I'm hoping that's going to be okay. Let's do the other side. I'll fine tune it a bit and then we'll take those clamps off and see if it falls over. So I've now adjusted both arms and hopefully I should find if I take the clamps off that it's quite stable. Yes, it is. Excellent. In fact, if I push it, okay, past a certain point it'll tip because the arms swing forward, but in its normal pose it's actually pretty good, I think. So there'll be a safety catch, as I say, that clamps these down that I take off before I get in, but at least as I'm climbing in it's not going to tip over. So let me get in and check I can reach the joysticks, and provided that's okay, we should be good. Alright, so I've got it. got the torso actually on my shoulders, and it's feeling pretty good. Now I haven't got the snowboard boots on, so I'm about an inch shorter than I should be. So I haven't lifted it up completely, but it is off the thighs. And as you can see, I can operate everything fine, and I can reach the joysticks, and I've got these sliders in here so I can reach right out as well, and that works pretty well. It's feeling absolutely awesome. You can imagine going around in this. I need to do a walking test sometime, but I don't really have space in here anymore, so that's going to be some sort of special episode where I take the suit somewhere bigger. But basically this is feeling amazing. Alright, so the plan really today was to try and get the panels on, so build up some bicep panels. Now what I've got on the forearms, going back quite a few episodes, are these opening panels, which is where weapons were going to pop out. So they were going to be controlled by the joystick to open and something come out with some sort of shooting mechanism. So I actually built these quite close to the hand, and I need to move these out so that my bicep is sort of big, and these then come outside the forearm rather than being so sort of close. But that's easy, those are just on 3D printed mounts, so I can take those off and put some extensions in when I know where they need to go. The hands are the other thing, I'm leaving them for now, they may well get redone. The fingers have gone a bit sloppy because they were built on foam. Doesn't look so bad when it's a clenched fist, but for now we'll leave the hands. I might revisit them in the future, but for now there's other more important things to do. So the main thing with the bicep is to sort out this fake piston end. So when this is brought forward, this doesn't poke through the front of the bicep, and it's probably going to get constrained to this bracket so that it's always held at the same distance. And then we can build up some panels around them. So I can't really have any more weight on the suit. When I pick the suit up just on my shoulders then, it really is quite comfortable. It's not too bad. It's got quite a lot of foam padding. It's got 40mm of high density foam in the shoulders. It's fairly comfortable, but I don't really want too much more weight. There's still some things I need to add, like the helmet. So the panels themselves are going to be made of really lightweight material. So here I've got some Plastazote foam in 10 and 20mm. So that's a really lightweight way to make the panels, which is what I've done on the chest plate. In fact, that's a combination of Plastazote and foam PVC board. Also picked up some of these anti-fatigue floor mats, the interlocking ones, which are very similar foam. It's slightly higher density, so one side is textured with an anti-slip pattern. The other side, just see there, is actually much smoother than the Plastazote, and these were £10 for a pack of what looks like 6, which are 2 foot square, so that's quite good value. And the other material I've got is just expanded polystyrene insulation board. So the plan is to make formers out of this, and then use the other foam to make the actual contoured panels, to make up the bulk of it, and then detail it up with foam PVC board like I did with the chest plate and 3D printed details. So we can make all of the stuff in black, then we can stick on these separate painted panels. In fact, that's how I did the shoulder bell. This gold section is actually Plastazote foam sealed with PVA and Plastidip, and then painted. And the red section is foam PVC board backed with black Plastazote. So we're going to do a very similar thing for the arms and all of the panels. And now we've got the proportions sorted, we really can get on and this thing can really take shape. So it's the next day. Basically I've carved this piece of polystyrene that you can see here. I've got another one here for the other arm. And that's pretty much as far as I've got. So I've kind of lost my creative spark for this. The chest plate was a lot easier. I know roughly what I want this to look like, kind of, and what features I want. It's not going to be exactly like the suit that we've seen in the trailer, but you know, kind of I want a curved piece that gets big and it's a bicep. I was playing around with the front of the bicep being another piece, like so, but I don't really, you know, one of the issues is mainly that there's only the back of the arm to attach this to, because of course the front and the side where my arm goes in need to be open, so this isn't really going to be strong enough to put the structure in. And the other one is I don't really want to just stick these flat panels of foam on. I really want more of a layered approach with depth and some more features in it. And I quite like the vents that I had on there before, and I was thinking about sticking one back on, but I probably need something more rigid. And then I thought about making 3D printed brackets to hold the polystyrene. And then I just thought, well, it'd be easier just to draw it in CAD, and then we'll have a look at it like that. So let's have a look at some CAD. I started drawing out the piece of polystyrene, and I was going to have some of the frame being polystyrene sections with 3D printed brackets and some of it being just 3D printed. And then I looked at my R2-D2 frame a bit more and decided that was really quite rigid. That frame is 30% infill, so I'm going to do these parts a lot lighter in probably 10 or 15% infill, but we should be able to make a very lightweight, rigid structure. So in the end I decided that we'll just make this whole frame in 3D printed parts, and then we'll stick the foam on and probably add some polystyrene to the inside for added rigidity if we need to. So basically these two frames will fix to the arm at the back where the purple parts are. Each one will have two fixings. One I've already put these keyhole sections in, the other one is the purple piece on the outside, which I've not yet put any fixing on. That's going to need an additional bracket when I actually hold this up to the suit. And the rest of this is all the different coloured parts, the different parts where it's cut up so we can lay all the parts flat on the bed and 3D print them. Now you notice at the front I've got these sort of yellow jaggedy sections, and these are a bit like the vents that I had installed on the biceps before, only these go round in a nice curve. So I've decided that was quite a good feature, but I want them more curved like bicep parts. And obviously the rest is going to be panels of foam. We've also got this recess on the outside, so you can hopefully see that there's the yellow and purple pieces are set back slightly from the contour, so that's going to be a feature on the outside of the arm. And the bottom blue hoop there is roughly where that piece of white polystyrene is, which is just above the elbow mechanism. So the plate on the back of the hand is going to come back towards that. So I need to make another piece to go on the bottom and around the back of the bicep where the motor is, once I've put this on and looked at the proportions of it. So we'll cut all these up or lay them flat on the bed. So we've got I've started to do that already, so I can 3D print them, and then we'll acetone weld all the parts together, and hopefully they should fit on each bicep, and we'll get an idea of what it's going to look like. I've got both printers currently working on the parts for that, so we've got the TAS4 doing some of the parts there, and the TAS3 doing some of the other parts. And here's some that's already complete. Most of the parts are printed. I've still got a few bits and pieces printing for the other side, but I've already started to assemble this one, which has come out pretty good. It's pretty rigid so far, so I've just got all these other bits to stick together, which I'm doing with acetone as usual. So this is ABS, which dissolves in acetone, so I can make chemical welds. I'm not going to go through the process again in this video, but have a look at my Alien Xenomorph build, where I've done this extensively, as well as some of the other parts, and also my R2-D2 build. So we'll get these two put together and see how they fit. So I've got most of these together. They're just hanging off the front of the table there because of the bicep front, but altogether that is looking pretty good. So I've got the three little sticks that go on the inside for me to mount some foam on that wraps around the inside of the arm, but apart from that we're almost done, so we should be able to fit those onto the suit. So I've got that bicep frame all built up. In fact, both of them are done, and I've attached that to the arm there. So here's the long shot. As minimalistic as it looks, I'm actually really happy with it and really happy with the approach that I've taken. So let's have a closer look. So the frames here, I've actually attached it to another bracket at the back here which I printed, which is acetone welded on and fixed to one of the original angle brackets I had those vents attached to, and it's actually screwed on here with the two keyhole things. So if I undo these two bolts and slacken these screws slightly, the whole thing can lift off quite easily, so we can work on it on the bench without having to put the panels on over here. I've also messed around quite a bit with this bungee again, so I've moved the bungee anchor point back. So it was originally on a metal bracket, and now I've moved it back a bit, and I've also moved the other end of this so it's slightly further in. So now this fake bungee, the fake piston and the bungee don't bind on the bicep at all. So obviously this is going to be covered with panels, so you won't see the end of the piston. You'll see a bit of it as you can there on the other side, and as the arm stretches out you'll see more of it, which is quite good. So I've left off the little tabs on the inside of this for now, which bring the rest of the bicep round, and I'm not going to put those on until I've messed around with this some more, and I've also seen how the rest of the body is going to interact with it. So let's just have a look around the side and the back here. So I'm feeling quite happy that this is feeling a lot more like the mechanical structure of an actual Iron Man suit. So we can see all of that, and the hoops continue around the back. Now we do need to do some more work there, and we need another feature that covers the motor but on the whole that's feeling like I've done quite a good mechanical design altogether. So having moved the bungees and the pistons, I'm really much happier with the pose of this suit. So the elbows hang back slightly, which not only really does fix the overweighting to the front issue we talked about at the start of the video, it gives it that kind of Iron Man pose with its chest sticking out and its elbows back when it's in that relaxed mode. So that's really, really good, and probably makes the joysticks a bit easier to reach as well. So I'm really happy that I've sort of come across the idea of fleshing this thing out with the frame. So I was going to go and put some panels on, but I haven't decided exactly what they look like yet. So this bicep seems a bit skinny, but obviously it's all going to get clad. And we've got the other features as well for the detail part in the recess in the side there, and we need to make up some details for the back of the bicep. I'm pretty happy with the size overall. It's located fairly squarely underneath the shoulder bell. And obviously the panels can be longer that go across the front on these vents as well. But I don't really want to do that, as I say, until I've fleshed out the rest of the body. So I'm really happy with the approach that I've taken now, doing these 3D printed frame parts. It's really helped me visualise in CAD what it's going to look like and do the design, then print it out. We can flesh out the whole frame, and then we can go and detail it up. We can skin it up, we can put the foam on, the foam PVC and the other detail parts, and we can also plan all those layers. So I'm really happy with that. So what we're going to see in subsequent episodes, hopefully, is this thing taking shape quite quickly. So for at least the next couple of videos on this, I'm going to be building out the frame for the rest of the parts. So we're going to be replacing these cardboard parts with 3D printed frame, with the opening top with the weapon pods in them, and also try and flesh out the thighs and the legs, and also the back of the suit, which really hasn't had that much attention yet. So don't forget to subscribe to check out more details on this project and other projects, and also check out my social media pages where you can see sneak peeks and some other photo updates and bits and pieces of information.